I can't believe it. Imagine my surprise when I woke up Monday morning to find that the first chapter of Chojin X had dropped. Like just the night before, I was watching Ashida stream Resident Evil Village and getting strung up and dragged around by Mama D and her daughters.
いやー楽しいですね。いやーねえ。ああ嘘。ああ美人。
Yeah, that happened, and Edo and Rize's characters are starting to make so much more sense now. But anyways, I hadn't heard a peep about Chojin X's release date, so I was pleasantly surprised that we got a sneaky stealth chapter debut this week, and boy, after waiting 3 years after Ri's ending, I feel really sentimental right now. Like, I could almost cry. It feels so good to be getting into another story of Ashida's. So cozy up and grab some tea, or if you're a ghoul, grab some coffee, because here I am to go over my first impressions of Chapter 1 and discuss what I felt like were important details, as well as theorize about what their significance might be to the plot going forward. So it's back into the theory and meta rabbit hole we go. Right off the bat, I've got to say I love the overall premise of Chojin X so far. The main character, Tokyo, injects himself with a serum that turns him into this monstrous beast form. And this is based off of probably one of my favorite fantasy tropes, which is where the MC has to struggle with their literal and figurative inner monster. This is what happened with Kaneki and Tokyo Ghoul, and in other beloved series of mine like Monstrous or Berserk. I think I like the inner monster trope so much because 1, I'm slightly a masochist when it comes to fiction, and 2, it allows for a lot of psychological range and exploration. Ashida's able to convey emotions really well, so I can't wait to see Tokyo pushed to his limits and pushed to his breaking point, whatever that might be. It does appear like the serum affects an individual's personality, making them more violent, like it did with the boss, so I'm interested in seeing its long-term psychological effects on Tokyo as a person. I'm also interested in how it will impact Tokyo and Azuma's friendship, since Tokyo currently struggles with an inferiority complex and is stuck in Azuma's shadow. He looks up to and idolizes his best friend. Now that Tokyo is superhuman though, will that change? Will they be at ideological odds with each other since Azuma's father has ties with law enforcement? Why did Tokyo specifically become a bestial Chojin? Is it because he identifies with buzzards, so he became one? We've seen several different abilities so far, so I'm guessing that a Chojin's ability are a reflection of their personality or their mental state. So I'm curious what that says about Tokyo as a person down the road. Then there's also the question of why Azuma didn't transform right then. And what part will Ellie play in all this, since we know that she somehow survives the Chojin plane attack based off of character art Ashida did of her. Based on those uniforms, my guess is that Tokyo and Ellie both join a government group made up of serum-created super soldiers to fight other Chojin. Let's just call it a hunch of mine. Lastly, I just want to point out that I'm also picking up a bug metaphor from the roly-polies too, since we all know Ashida loves his bug metaphors and really metaphors in general. Just ask Kaneki. Okay, that's all I have to say about the first chapter, but I have 2 more important notes before I wrap up this video. First, I think it's important to know that this series will have an irregular schedule. Basically, Ashida won't have hard weekly deadlines anymore. Instead, he'll upload when he wants, which I hope will be much better for his overall physical and mental health. I want him to be able to have fun and draw silly side comics, and to be able to stream games like Biohazard, aka Resident Evil. Plus, I think this will allow him more time to plot out the story in advance. Second, I know in the past I've occasionally done chapter by chapter reviews for series that I really love. However, I'm not entirely sure if I want to do that anymore because it is a huge time commitment for a potentially 100 chapter plus series. Instead, I might do chapter reviews in batches or make the occasional analysis here and there if there's a particular theme or character I really want to dive into. With that said, I'm really excited to be stuck in fandom hell again and to go on another journey and see where this story takes us.